Hi there and welcome to my third video on transfer of learning. So this one looks at how certain skills we can transfer across. They can be positive, they can be negative, and really important to understand as a coach or a teacher or anybody involved with learning new skills. So first of all, start off with the positive transfer and negative transfer. So this sort of just summarises all of them as we go through it. So positive transfer, where one skill or situation helps the learning and performance of another. For example, the arm action of throwing a ball helps. The arm action of throwing a ball helps the action of a racket arm when serving in tennis. So it's really easy to transfer. If you look at the skill of that throw, Sri Lankan cricketer, and you compare that to the tennis, it's very similar. Motor programs involved in both. So that would be a positive transfer. Again, myself being a cricketer, right, I can easily transfer that throwing action across to tennis. Obviously, there's a few things that I need to learn, but that would be a real positive transfer across. So we'll move across to negative transfer, where one skill or situation hinders the learning or performance of another skill. For example, the flexed arm in throwing hinders the straight arm required for cricket bowling. So again, if you're transferring the skill of throwing across to bowling, you can see that showing one's arm there. It's got to be straight. In throwing, you'll have to bend it. So it should be a negative transfer there. There's one thing in my own personal life is I have quite a lot of negative transfer between cricket batting and playing golf. The golf swing is very different to a cricket swing. For me, that's a negative transfer for me. But some people find it a positive transfer because of the hand-eye coordination. So the different skills and situations can be transferred across. So just try and pause it and think of a couple of sports that you play and see if you've got any positive or negative transfer across there. Alright, so we get into the types of transfer that we have. Right, and these are two things that could maybe confuse you. Just look at the proactive transfer. It's where previously learned skill affects the current learning or performance of another skill. And the key thing here is looking at this arrow. So the old skill is a throw, and then the new skill is the looks like a volleyball serve. So the previously learned throwing action, okay, can affect a new skill. It looks very similar, does this action, to that. So it's proactive, okay. It can be positive and it can be negative. Proactive transfer can help or hinder the learning of a new skill. So proactive, the old skill, can be positive or negative on the transfer of a new skill. Then we come down to retroactive transfer. So again, if you look at the difference, it's the arrow here, where the current learning of a new skill, which would be this one, okay, the new skill that you're trying to learn, affects the stuff that you're already good at. So this person was already good at throwing, okay, but the new skill is now affecting the old skill, and that's called retroactive. So the example it gives here, the current learning of a serve in tennis, okay, can affect the previously learned throwing action. So this person here might be new to tennis, might be the cognitive stage of learning for tennis, okay, and then when they go back to maybe the autonomous stage of throwing, because they play lots of, this is a baseball player, this skill can be affected, okay, so retroactive, okay. When you're looking at this on your own, if you do pause it, have a chance just to read through it again, but look at the arrow. The arrows, sorry, it's going that way, is the key, and on this one, it's going that way. Okay, so that's positive transfer and retroactive. Moving on to bilateral, dead simple this one. Okay, it's just a matter of transferring from one limb to the other. So this example, you've got an Arsenal player here with his right foot and his left foot. Dead easy. Again, you've got to get into your head. It can be positive and it can be negative. Okay, when positive, bilateral transfer helps an attacker to deceive a defender, e.g. using a non-dominant foot or shoot or pass. I think if you're going to get to the autonomous stage of learning in football, you really do need bilateral transfer. And just take a minute now, you try and write your name with your right hand, okay, then transfer it across and try and write your name with your left hand, okay, that'd be bilateral transfer. And it'd probably be quite negative in that scenario because you're so used to writing with your dominant hand. Okay, moving on to sort of ways we can optimise effective transfer. Okay, so it's sort of maximising the use of transfer to help speed the effectiveness of learning. So positive transfer can occur between two skills or from one situation to another. So if you have a look at these photographs here, you've got the smash in badminton. Okay, it's a very similar skill to the volleyball spike. If you just take a moment to look at those there, so there'll be positive transfer between the two. So examples, these three skills show transfer positively from the throw action, and it can occur in situations where the environment is constantly changing. All right, so there is a way of sort of optimising. And as a coach, you want to be showing the people that you're teaching and learning that this is it. You can show them the pictures. As if the new skill of the volleyball spike, you might say to them, look, you're a good badminton player. It's very similar to the smash, right? So you'd have some positive transfer going across. I'm not going to go through all this. So the ways of optimising effective transfer, okay? You can build on similar skills to promote the transfer, talk about it as a coach, make the learner aware of transferable elements or subroutines. Just tell them this is very similar to X, Y, and Z in your old skill. Give them clear demonstrations is key. Okay, the original skill must be well grooved over learned. Okay, so before you're trying to transfer something across, you've got to make sure that that skill that you've already got is well learned. It's in your long-term memory. We'll move on to this later on, but you can give the praise, as much praise as possible for positive reinforcement of the positive transfer. So if you're doing a skill on bilateral transfer, maybe passing with your weaker foot, loads of reinforcement is key when something is successful. So just pause it and have a look at a few of these, right? Now, all the way through all your exam, these are some examples, but then over here is, the examples are here, and here is actually how you're going to do it. You've got to get into the habit of giving examples. So build on similar skills to promote transfer. For example, handball throw is similar to a volleyball spike. Okay, so make your point. The closer the practice is to the real situation, the greater the chance of positive transfer. For example, varied practice for open skills like handball shooting and fixed practice for closed skills like serving. You've got to make sure all the time you're getting these examples in, because if you don't, you're going to drop marks. Then on the flip side, we can look at the ways that we're going to limit the negative transfer. So again, the coach should apply strategies to optimise positive transfer. See the previous slide. And then again, we've given an example, build on a skill that are similar and transfer positive to limit negative transfer. Conflicting skills must not follow in a sequence during a teaching programme. For example, badminton and tennis strokes transfer negatively. If you think about the skill of badminton, where it's mainly played with the wrist, with lots of lunging, where your tennis is mainly played with your shoulder and sort of the deltoid muscles, and you're told to lock out your wrist, that would be a way to limit negative transfers. Make sure that they don't follow in that sequence. So maybe one lesson on badminton, followed by a tennis lesson, followed by a badminton lesson, followed by a tennis. So just make sure that you can make your point, which is over here, and then give your example over here. All right, that concludes Transfer of Learning. Thank you.